Coming up next is the theme of technology and the converging of the digital world. With us today we have Dr. Ian Gauci, one of the only few legal technologists on this blockchain island.
Delta, good afternoon. What a fantastic event. So, today we're here to commemorate technology. Technology and innovation which go hand in hand. Now, technology is perceived by a lot of people as being something which is pervasive, like an exogenous force, but it is not. Technology is an enabler, is a main driver for our life and for our society. Technology is an invitation for us, for society, to think on our role within this new digital world, to think about how this digital world is slowly converging. And it is converging around us. Now, when we speak about convergence, this is the result, technological convergence of the fourth industrial revolution. The fourth industrial revolution which we're living right now. So it's a revolution which is different from the previous ones because it is faster, it is more connected. At the end of the day, it is enabled by humans, by machines, by technology. We're living in an industrial revolution which is surrounded by microchips, a lot of memory, a lot of processing power, a lot of bandwidth, a lot of connectivity, a lot of ubiquitousness. We're living in a fourth industrial revolution, which at the end of the day has a lot of sensors embedded in machines, talking with each other autonomously. Sensors which make available data which was previously only available to humans. Now that particular data is available as well to machines, to AI, to software. So there we're seeing that the box is opening up. Things are converging, and we are part of this ecosystem. So we should think properly about its effect and where we want to go. Now, when we speak about the industrial revolution, convergence, at the end of the day, we're speaking about innovative technologies as well. So usually, the converging element would happen when you have, for example, AI, IoT, blockchain, DLT, all merging, mashing up together, okay? Where you produce one product. Now, I can sit here and talk about how AI can work with blockchain. Yes, there are a lot of cases. They are based on theoretical assumptions, okay? And some of them are still not proved. For example, when AI can help blockchain with regards to scalability, when blockchain could help AI with regards to verifiable data, which is fed to AI. But let us concentrate on something which is more concrete. So usually, a converged technology would have three main characteristics. The characteristics would be that you have multiple functions, you have ubiquitous access, and you have data usage. All these three characteristics are predominant in these converged technologies, in this converged realm. And they fit very nicely with IoT, Internet of Things. So here we're not speaking about something which is to a certain extent futuristic. We're speaking about something which is present. We're using it already. What is IoT? IoT are devices having battery, having processing power, running on a network simultaneously, autonomously, without the need of human intervention. Sharing data, feeding data, okay? Being used in a diverse multitude of industries, from health to fintech, okay? To agriculture, to the transport industry. This is something relevant right now. IoT, which is going to be a main player on its own and together with other technologies like AI, subset machine learning, blockchain, DLT, virtual reality. So altogether, they are projecting us into a new paradigm. something which is quite innovative, something which at the end of the day is fusing even the world we live in. Why? Because you have the digital being fused with the virtual, okay? Being fused as well with the normal world that we live in today. So even there's a fusion which is affecting directly our lives. Now, I forgot to mention one particular facet, however, and I did it on purpose. All these innovative technologies, and at the end of the day, the end result, which is going to be a converged output, still need one common factor, and that is data. To be exact, big data. So in today's connected world, in this fourth industrial revolution, okay, we are all the time connected. We are all the time transacting. We have a digital persona where our normal person is transmuted online. So there is the activity there. We're surrounded by sensors. We feed information through our mobiles. All our activity, this data, which can be used and abused, like the cases of the Cambridge Analytica. This data, which at the end of the day will be the linchpin as well for further autonomous agents, even when you use AI. This data, which needs to be ascertained, needs to be safe, because it is a main driver, even when technologies converge. So that is another subset which has fundamental importance in this new digital and converged world. So you might ask me, okay, we spoke about AI, we spoke about blockchain, we spoke about big data, we spoke a little bit about IoT. Are there any breakthroughs? Like I said before, there are. There are some which are hypothetical, there are some which are theoretical, okay? And even as a lawyer, a converged person speaking about technology, so I mean, testament of convergence in itself. I can mention a very clear example which we'll understand. And it will encapsulate all the three elements I mentioned before and the technologies. So just imagine having an autonomous vehicle, which is IoT, okay? Using reliable and more cost-efficient distributed artificial AI engines, okay? Taking from data which is on a blockchain or on a sidechain, which is ascertainable, which is immutable, okay? Feeding from the data. That data being processed by fog nodes, okay? So there we have this converged technology, which is autonomous. It can decide on its own accord. But not only that, it is part of a larger ecosystem. It does not only take data, but it feeds data itself into the system. Data on which other agents, okay, other autonomous vehicles will feed, and data which is sure. That is a glimpse of the potential we are going to face when we have this converged technology. Potential, there's a lot of potential. This can be used in a lot of industries: health, agriculture, industry, industrial, fintech. But as with all other things in life, there are always two sides of the coin. Because when you have the fusion of the physical with the digital, okay, world, to a certain extent, you have as well risks. You might have negative connotations, and that is the bad side of the coin. You have risk which will touch on the technology itself, on the social fabric, on legal and regulatory. Now, in the few time I have left, I would like to concentrate on the legal and regulatory. Now, with regards to legal and regulatory, to a certain extent, this is underpinned by what we call policy perspectives, okay? Now, you might tell me, okay, but what is so special? We've had industrial revolutions before. The element of convergence is not new. We, as lawyers, as policy makers, have seen the element of convergence in telecoms, have seen the element of conversion as well in broadcasting. So what is different? Why is this convergence so different? Whereas before, the element of convergence, okay, always touched on a particular service or on a particular technology, where you had the relationship between the technology and service with the law or with the authority. So that never changed. Here we'll be speaking about something which could drastically move that particular pillar. Why? Because the output of a converged environment can be totally different. You're merging different technologies, different services. So there it could be that dealing with the law, dealing with the authority regulating is either blurred, okay? It's either overlapping because you might have other authorities which will need to come into play, or worse still, it's totally absent. So there not only you don't have a regulatory body, but you have a very big lacuna under the legal regime. So leave it a little, this poses big challenges for us, but leaving the challenges aside, and looking at the positive elements, when we analyze all this, there are still commonalities, ubiquitous elements. I mentioned big data before. That is number one. There is as well software. Software which is being used in every industry, on your mobiles, in your cars, on the planes, in every industry. And it is emancipating. It can be even pervasively used because everybody can code. And we have the human, because we're forgetting the human. It's true that we have a lot of development, we have a lot of nice stuff, but at the end of the day, who is creating the software? Who is inventing? The inventor is the human. The developer is the human. The person who uses or abuses the software is the human. The end user who benefits or suffers is the human. So these are ubiquitous elements. And that bodes well if we converged our thinking landscape. So how do we converge? And here I will be quoting somebody who had a vaster mindset, larger mindset than I have, Albert Einstein. One main thing is that we should not stall innovation. Innovation should prosper, okay? So we need to make sure that innovation goes on. We move along with innovation, similar to what Albert Einstein said when he said, listen, in life, if you're going to ride a bicycle, you need to keep on moving to find the balance, okay? But we need to make sure that innovation is sustainable. As much as when you are going to ride a bike, you plan the journey ahead. You try to avoid potholes. Why? Because at the end of the day, you might fall, you might get hurt, you might destroy the bicycle. So there your journey stops. So we need to plan the journey. When we plan the journey, we need to converge. Converge our way of thinking. Let's forget about the technology. Let's forget about the converged output. Let's focus on data. Let's focus on the software. Let's focus on the human. Let's see and anticipate areas where these three together will be active in critical areas, sensitive areas, like, for example, health, okay? Like, for example, energy, or where the software is used to take decisions, autonomous decision-making. We already have legislation catering for that, calling for certain transparency where decisions are taken. The GDPR is a case in point. So there we need to identify those areas. We need to install a mechanism where there is governance, there is transparency, there is accountability, where the software is tested, where the software is ascertained, where the developers behind it in these critical instances will either need to be licensed or certified, where they are bound by a governance structure, where they have accountability, where pegged on these elements in the future, we can even answer the question of liability, because this has been a ping-pong thing going along, judges, different lawyers. We don't have a clear answer on liability in this particular field. And our journey needs to start from there. We need to converge for us to embrace the converged world. And in this convergence, we need to think, and I'm going to be brief, one last minute. I was hearing before trust, trust, trust. Even trust here is converged. In blockchain, I beg to disagree. In this environment, you still have trust. But trust has been displaced. You're not trusting the human anymore. Why? Because you don't know him to a certain extent. So you're trusting the system. We need to make sure that the system, if it's converged, has an element of trust, is trustworthy by design. Because by building all this ecosystem, we will make sure as well that the converged elements, the convex sector, is certain for the developers, for the users, and for the innovators themselves. This is where we need to start in a converged environment. Thank you.